The future is vegan.
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 Hi everyone, it's Jessica, and in this episode, I'm going to be going over Gifting 101 for Vegans. So this is a crash course video on how to, with Black Friday approaching, shop effectively and efficiently for the special vegan in your life. So you won't want to miss this episode, and it's truly gift-worthy. So to put a disclaimer out there, any gift that you give to somebody, it really should come from the heart. And it's really the thought that counts from the gift. It's not about if you spend $1 million or if you get somebody a coin from ancient Greece, if they're a coin collector. It's all about finding something that is thoughtful. And in most cases, those usually aren't expensive. So to go a little bit more in depth with this, the thought that counts, for instance, if I love to write, I could get my parents or my family could provide me with a really awesome journal. Maybe it has a quote of William Shakespeare on the cover, something really cool that means a lot to me, or maybe something that really speaks to me and my character. So it's really the thought, and that's subjective. So it could matter, that could be different for each person. So the second thing I kind of wanted to touch on is the worst gifts to buy for a vegan. That kind of counteracts my first statement about the thought that counts. But if you're looking to buy something for a vegan in your life, here's some of the basics to avoid that really that go against the lifestyle, essentially. So if you're going to buy clothes, that's usually a huge one. It's not usually a sparking point with younger audiences. I mean, I used to hate getting clothes, and now it's like, wow, I got clothes. That's great. So when you're going in that direction, I would avoid stuff like wool or leather. That usually, it really varies by the person. They would either return it maybe, or maybe even keep it. It really matters. It depends, is what I'm really trying to say. So on the person, but if you buy like a wool jacket or a leather belt, I know it could come from very well-intentioned, very good intention, I guess, but it may not fit in with that person's lifestyle, and they may not feel comfortable wearing that. So those are usually ones to avoid. Maybe pearls too. I mean, I don't think they're real pearls. I used to wear these like CVS ones. Those are not real pearls. And so I used to wear those, and I still felt a little guilty wearing them. Like when I first was transitioning, even though I knew they were not real, I still felt bad because I was perpetuating the idea that wearing them was okay. It really varies, and that's what I felt in the beginning, and that's my spectrum. But I think it's really subjective. This whole thing really is. But it's one vegan to another, or looking to provide for that special vegan in your life. But it's really what I'm trying to provide. So those are really the worst kinds of gifts to offer. I'm trying to think of something else. Maybe suede. Suede is not really a good option. That's like leather, and it's a softer leather. That's something to avoid. And you want to avoid something with feathers, and because that kind of rubs the wrong way too. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Nothing really comes to the top of my mind. Is there any materials I try? Wool. Wool is a big one. I have some old sweaters that had wool in them, and then I checked the label, the first thing. I mean, those tags are always itchy. But it said like 100% or like 90% wool. Nope. I don't wear those anymore. But that's something to consider too. There's a whole list that you can find on PETA pages and a lot of different websites that really talk about not only why, but like which materials to avoid. And there's also really, really, really cool alternatives. So for like leather, I know that I would really love to explore these different options. But I heard that there's like pineapple leather, so many really cool items. And I know that like a lot of cool companies, I heard about this H&M thing with PETA pretty recently, and they sponsored like a group of social media influencers to go and like try different items from that launch. It was really cool, and they had different leather options, and a lot of the options that I just explained that were not vegan but made vegan. So that was feathered items, and it was really, really cool. And I think something like from those kinds of collections would be really like perfectly geared for the vegan in your life. So I think that's really cool. And a lot of websites actually, well, pretty surprisingly, like PETA and whatnot, and I think ASPCA. I'm really not sure. That's a wild card there. But for a lot of these organizations, they do have websites for the holidays. Like I know last year, when I was going vegan, my mom got me so many really cool PETA items. Not like t-shirts exactly, but like they had a really cool like chocolate set. They had like really cool items. What's another example of something? Like scarves and stuff, and like a lot of conventionally like unvegan. Well, scarves are not unconventionally vegan, but items that are pretty diverse and like interchangeable that are vegan, which are pretty cool. So I got a lot of really awesome stuff, which I'm grateful for from that line, and I still wear them to this day. Really awesome. So actually, like kind of going on a tangent, but like on the same topic, I got a water bottle from PETA, and surprisingly, compared to like a really expensive water bottle, Hydro Flask, it was like $5, and I got it for free for going to a webinar. It's actually the best water bottle that I had. So it kind of affirms my previous point that money isn't everything, and money doesn't establish quality, and they're not exactly they're not synonymous for one another. So quality, you can get something really good for a cheap price, and that I will emphasize more later. But that's some of the worst things you can buy. Not really the worst, but really taking the lifestyle into consideration. And the next thing I would say is think about the person and not yourself. That sounds pretty like generic and common sensey, but it's really important when buying gifts for somebody else. You want to consider the person, their interests, and I said this a couple of times on the blog, but for vegans and stuff, for me at least, veganism is the least interesting thing about me. I mean, I have a blog, I have a podcast, but it really is, honestly. It's something that I do. I follow a vegan lifestyle, but I don't like putting too many labels on myself that take away from the identity of the person I am. Animal rights is something that I love to do and advocate for, but it doesn't make me as a whole person. And I feel like when you put that label on somebody and on a whole movement, it can really diminish its value. So, and people don't want to be associated with that because it's like taking on a whole new identity. And I don't like that interpretation. So I just say that I follow a vegan lifestyle, but it's the least interesting thing about me. So when you think about the person and not yourself, it sounds selfish to say that, but it really needs to be put into context. So if the person really likes like a certain kind of food, for instance, I know I have like a favorite kind of candy. They had this really cool mixed up mix with it. So my friend got me one and it was vegan. I was like, that's so sweet. And it was really thoughtful. So I really like that. Or if there's a company that like is really awesome and you really like it, but you're not sure where to get that person, maybe gift card's best. So you have to take the person, their consideration, and maybe even like what they prefer. Do they like gift cards? Do they like cash? Or do they like a tangible item, like clothes or something? Can you speak on their fashion sense? And do you know the specifics? Like, do you know if you're buying them clothes? Do you know their size? Do you know what colors they like or whatnot? So that's important to consider. And I remember last year for Christmas, my friend got me the sweetest gift, and it was so personal, and I really, really, really liked it. So I had a knack for grilled cheese back then. You know, like those phases that people get, and they're like fixed on a certain food item. I had a peanut butter and jelly stage. I also had a grilled cheese stage last November, but I made it vegan. My sister made the best recipe. I posted it on my blog. You can check it out. But that was really awesome. And she got me a shirt that says like grilled cheese and it had something on it like that's my favorite food or something. And it was really cute. It had like a little graphic on it, and I wore it so many times. So cute. And that was such a thoughtful gift, and it really made me like wince back a little bit with joy. That's like so thoughtful. So I really like that. And I thought that gift really spoke on like who I was and who I still am. Grilled cheese is still pretty good. So I like to consider that, and that's one of my more thoughtful gifts that I've received. So next, I kind of want to talk a little bit about good gift ideas and how original ones may not necessarily come with that really big price tag. So a lot of really thoughtful items, as I said before, can really speak to the person and their identity. So if somebody really likes an item, or if you hear them talking about something, that's really like, I have a mental a notebook in my head throughout the year preparing for the holiday season when I hear people talking about really annoying things in their life or things that they wish to have. I know I do this for my mom, my sister, and my brother, and my dad. So I keep this mental thing when I hear things that tick people off or things that they want, but they don't directly mention it. It's kind of hinted, but it's not in the way that it's get me this item because it's not that close to Christmas or to Hanukkah. So you got to pick up on those things throughout the year. So it's a great time to start utilizing this if you're watching the podcast. So pick up on those things, and those are usually the best things to get. And when people are complaining about those certain things or talking about them, they're usually not mentioning $1 million houses. They're talking about maybe small things that would really benefit their lives. For instance, I ran out of mechanical pencils, and I was really upset about using regular pencils because they hurt my hand. And it's very hard to write for me on my right hand. So I say that mechanical pencils would be a great stocking stuffer for me. Mom in the back, you got that? So that's something to note. And I know that it can really vary on what the people like and what people like. Mechanical pencils are $2. I know that it really, that's not $1 million, and it's something that's really thoughtful. So that's my little thrown out notepad note. So next, I would say, what are some safe holiday choices that are vegan? So I would say safe holiday choices, get away from I would say the food column. You can go into the food, but just you can always double check it really quickly on Google. You can say Sour Patch Kids, vegan, and then it'll say varies based on the country that it comes from, and the type of which one you choose, because the red coloring actually is not vegan. And I know that sometimes it can use gelatin. Sour Patch Kids, but you just got to be careful on the label because sometimes they are vegan, sometimes they're not. And I know that from out of other countries, I do know for a lot of fast food chains and for a lot of candies, they don't contain gelatin in other countries. But in the U.S., they do contain gelatin, and they do have those cooked in beef instead of other things. So that's something to consider. And for a safe vegan option, I would say a tangible item that speaks to the person. So if you want to, getting a food item is actually very easy because you can search it up, and we have so many great resources today to kind of interact with that stuff. So you can go in that route, and actually I'd encourage you. But there's also the item clothes, avoid the basics. PETA has really great resources on that. I created an infographic on this on Bergen County SOS, and I highly encourage you to check that one out. It's really cool, and I talk about not only the materials that are not vegan. It has 12 to 14 slides, but I explain why too, which is pretty cool. And I know silk is also a really big one. I'm surprised I didn't think of it earlier. But silk is, I don't think a lot of people buy too many things with silk. I mean, I know I've heard of the pillowcases, but it's not too popular. I know it can be made from a lot of things, but I don't think that it pertains to too many things in everyday life. So that's something to avoid because it uses silkworms. And even though that there is a method, as I explained on the infographic, a type of worm that it's neutral to, where it doesn't harm them in the making of it, I still don't think it's ethical to really use an animal for that in that way to produce a human, to produce our means, I guess, give us something that we want. But that's a personal interpretation. Everything's subjective, honestly. I've met so many vegans with differing opinions. It's really awesome, honestly, talking about different topics and how we go about in our activism. Some people prefer more protest kind of stuff with that, protest-esque, or they prefer writing like I did, or different types of activism, really cool, and, all of them valid. So that's some... if you're looking for good gift ideas, you can just look at the list for PETA and on the infographic, kind of get an idea for what is and what's not vegan. You could also get, as I said before, tangibles, items that mean a lot to them, a notebook, something that, is, I'm not going to be questioning, is that vegan, is it not? And I know this is a really popular one, but I'd say really strongly avoid it. But if you're getting a notebook, and a lot of them have, I'm not sure if it's fake or real leather, but I see a lot at AC Moore. They have like this like leather covering on top. Be very careful about that. I swear those things can really like creep up on you. So if you see something with leather or something, even if it's used in like a small area, I would like double check it. So that's something to consider for the special vegan in your life. And next, I want to talk about my holiday wish list. This year, I have so many things going on, honestly. So if you want a little bit of a taste into what I'm hopefully looking forward to in the holiday season, I would probably say mechanical pencils and a really solid beanbag. So I was looking into beanbags because I love like chilling out in my school's like wellness area, and I was like, oh my god, I love going to the beanbag section every day, and I always get in there a little early so I can like get a really nice spot. And then I was like, maybe it would be really nice to get a beanbag. So I'm asking for a beanbag this year. So nothing out of the crazy ordinary, but yeah, mechanical pencils and a beanbag, can't get much better than that. So next, I would say, so how to handle, if you're a vegan, something not in the vegan nature. So I think it's really important to be respectful always and really consider the first point. It's the thought that counts. And the people that usually have this mishap aren't vegan themselves. So a lot of times, like, we spend like time familiarizing ourselves with like what is vegan, what is not, and the principles of our lifestyle. But if you look at a general onlooker of this lifestyle, they're probably not going to know every single thing about it, and maybe not do the double take that you may at like an item, or the 3 reads on a nutrition label, something like that. Bizarre. So that kind of stuff you need to really consider. So if you get something that's not vegan, okay, it's not the end of the world. I mean, honestly, like, even happens to me, like, sometimes mishaps. You think something's vegan, take a bite. Oh, no, I see milk on the label. Okay, not the end of the world. I'm doing the best I can, If something is out of my control and something, I have something that's not vegan, not by choice, then okay, that's okay. I can assess and then, just continue on my way. Same thing with the item that you may receive. So if you really want, if it's in your choice, I guess, you can return the item, you can do whatever you want, you can give it to somebody, give it to a friend. Those options are all in the reach. It's really up to you. It's really subjective. Same thing. They mean the same thing. Next thing I'm going to talk about is food-related gifts, how to be clear on those. So this is a 101 crash course on vegan foods, how to know what is vegan, what is not. So you basically want to look out for these key stuff. So red 40, stuff like that. Red 33, I think, stuff like that. They usually were made from crushed beetles and stuff, and crushed insects to produce the color. Some companies don't use it like that, or there are vegan like dyes exclusively. But most of the time, if I see like red 40, especially on a label, I'm going to be like, no, because it's usually an indicator that it's not vegan. Also, you want to look for something called gelatin. Gelatin is basically like a pulverized like item of animal cartilage, bone, whatnot, all together, and it's used as like a binding ingredient. So when you think of Jell-O, you know what keeps it all together? It's the gelatin, essentially. So it's even, if you think of the same like structure holding quality of gelatin, you can think of Rice Krispies. So the structure that they hold together, and that structure is often used in cakes. So when they create like the intricate designs with the underlaying, and then they put like the fondant on top. So that's usually pertaining to the structure of gelatin. So I actually have vegan Rice Krispies at home. They're not as like solid as a Rice Krispie, like that has gelatin, but they do hold it together. So there are substitutes, obviously. So gelatin's obviously a big one. And if you're not sure how to spell it, it's Gelatin. Spelling bee. So other than that, I'm trying to think of something that I would look at the label and kind of wince at. Obviously, like if you see chicken fat, stuff like that, or if you see animal enzymes, those are usually indicators. I usually take a double look if I see enzymes on the label, because most of the time they're not, they're animal based. So that's something to take a second look at. The coloring is usually pretty solid. The red, as I said before. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my list. And there's lard too, but how many times is lard going to be used in like a a dessert or something. It depends. Like if more tart-based one, maybe. But you just have to look into your situation. But obviously, if you want to double check for that special vegan, there's usually a little icon that has a V and it says vegan.org. So that usually mentions that the item is vegan. And I like a company called Abe's. They usually have a lot of vegan items and like desserts. And I love corn muffins. Always been a big thing. Love them so much. So I get them from that company, and they don't have a lot of allergens because the creator had a lot of allergies, and they're vegan. No eggs, no milk. So it's very explicit on the label, but sometimes it's not, and you can always type in the label on Google, and it'll give you an answer immediately. Is this vegan? Is it not? So it pretty much clears the air about it. And pretty solid on answering your questions for those. If I'm not sure, and if, sometimes chemicals can be really hard to pronounce, and you're not sure. Does this have meat? Does this not? Or whatnot? And if you see a lot of items with, vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is something that kind of just slipped my mind for a minute, but it actually is not vegan. And I've had this instance come up a lot, like especially in Kellogg cereals or whatnot. If you read the label, the rest of the items seem to be vegan. Like if you look at Reese Puffs. I've completely forgot how to pronounce that because I do not usually eat that stuff. So Reese Puffs? Reese's Puffs. Okay, so I got down the pronunciation for that. So I would say if you see vitamin D3, that's what's making a lot of those items non-vegan. So avoid that vitamin. So I would recommend that. Next, I would say is, so just you can double check in fact source. And when I was writing a basic outline, like some things I want to cover for this episode, I was writing do's and don'ts for vegan food related gifts, and it autocorrected don'ts to donuts. So I was reading the list and I was like, wait, what? So that makes it a lot better. Donuts are a good gift though. Like honestly, pretty good snack too. So that pretty much clears the air on this episode. Thank you for watching, and hopefully laughed a little with us and kind of enjoyed this and take away something to help that special vegan in your life. So thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.
The future is vegan.
The future is vegan.
The future is vegan.
The future is vegan.
The future is vegan.